Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today and for a special launch of the Micro Granule technology in the United States. So it's a first for us, and we're really happy to share this moment with you, with Natural Partners, who we partnered really recently, like last November. So, me and the team are really delighted to have this chance to share this with you today. So let me go through the presentation of our laboratories. So we are called Activa. We're based out of France, as Jason just said. We have a history of more than 20 years of innovation, distribution of nutritional supplements. Our founders are Dr. Patrick Verret, who you see here, and his son, Marie Verret, who's also our CEO and who's present in this room today facing me. So we are really happy that he created these laboratories together with his father because, as you'll see, we've been able to create very exciting things. As I said, we are headquartered in France in a little city called Carros. Carros is well known for being the Silicon Valley of nutritional supplements in our local area because you have lots of different laboratories, but they are not doing as well as we are doing, of course. So as you've seen, we're a family company. So we're really close to our employees, but also to our business partners. We are looking for close relationships, but also long-term relationships. So this is what we're looking at creating together with you. Natural Partners. In terms of our company specifics, we hold our own R&D, our own manufacturing, marketing, and commercial operations. Why am I highlighting this? Because it's not the case of many laboratories who most of the time subcontract part of it, the manufacturing, and other parts of it. We put an emphasis on the fact that we own our own manufacturing because this is, of course, very important in terms of quality, traceability, and everything we put into it, which I'm going to comment a bit further on. Our products are sold directly and through partners. They're sold worldwide, but in the US, we partner with you. You're our major partners, so I want to highlight this too. When we sell in other countries, we sell through pharmacies too, most specifically in France, where we started out. We have our own sales force, and this has enabled us to get direct feedback from the field, like you get feedback directly from your own partners and your own audiences. So this has enabled us to create products that answer as close as possible to market needs, to the consumer needs. We signed the contract with you all since last November, so it's pretty fresh. And some more about our mission now. We develop high quality and leading edge nutritional supplements that provide biocompatibility and bioavailability to the human body. I'll be commenting on these two concepts further on, but they're very important, and this is where some of our key differentiators lie. Our passion. We are here to create the perfect symbiosis between nature and the human body. It's not just a question of taking what's in nature and trying to enforce it in the human body. The important thing for us, as we see it, is to create this perfect symbiosis, because you have to translate what nature is to adapt it to the human body. This is where we are putting our efforts. Okay, quality and compliance, because this is also very important. We work from standardized, titrated dry extracts. You will understand what this is also in a minute. We have to use these very difficult terms to make ourselves important and prove that we're compliant and quality compliant. But no, it's very important. You'll see where it makes a big difference. Our products are high in trace constituents. You will understand what I mean by this in a moment. We, of course, trace all our active ingredients, so traceability is very important in our company. We run systematic analysis of raw material, and we're GMO, current, solvents, gluten, and pesticide-free. We use vegetable capsules. In terms of compliance with FDA, of course, we're compliant with FDA regulation, CFR 21, with European directive, and we are compliant with ISO 9001. Let me get now to our core technology and know-how. I mentioned that we're working from titrated dried extract. What does that mean? Most of manufacturers of nutritional supplements use the plants, of course, but they just take the whole plant. They don't spend time understanding which part of the plant has the most active ingredient that you're looking for to be specifically acting on a certain part of the body. We do this. We select the part of the plant that will specifically work where we want it to work. So it takes more time, more money, but this is where it makes the quality that we're looking for. High interest constituents, of course, because we take the core of the core of the core of the plant. So the active ingredient is highly dosed. Of course, we get with this up to 5 times more efficiency than the full plant. It could be the flower, the root, the leaf. We take what's needed to address the symptom that we want to address. Let me now get to our proprietary assembly protocol and dosage. That looks a bit complicated, but you will understand the concept in a minute. We take an active ingredient to combine it with another active ingredient. Instead of taking everything like most manufacturers would do, all active, putting them in a bottle, shaking it, and producing a product, we instead take the active ingredient that will, when it's combined to another one, potentiate each other so that it makes an active ingredient number 3, which we will then combine with another one, and then with some others that have been combined together to also potentiate each other. All this together makes it a blend of multiple natural active extracts, up to 10 plus active ingredients that we mix together according to this proprietary assembly protocol, that makes it so efficient. With this we get what? Of course, synergy of active ingredients, but also a global action. And we can do this as many times as needed. Let me now get to the micro granule, because this is the heart, the core of one of our key differentiators on the market. Why a microgranule? Bear in mind that this is a patented pharmaceutical process, okay? So we own a patent on this. And what's wonderful about the microgranule versus powder is that it enables us, amongst other things, to protect active ingredients. And where we are able to protect in a range of 96% the active ingredients, powder does not protect more than 15 to 20%. What does that mean? You swallow the capsule full of microgranules. The stomach, the first business he wants to do is destroy everything he receives. So with the microgranule, we are able to protect 96% of the active ingredient so that all the active that we're looking for are going to go to the intestine, because this is what the surface of exchange is going to happen. Powder will contribute to keeping only in the intestine 15 to 20% of the actives. I could stop my presentation here, because if you've understood this, you know the difference that you can highlight to your target audience. But there's more to know. Of course, it guarantees stability of the product. What does that mean? Well, think about the level of humidity here and there. It's important not to have a mud created inside the capsule, but still have the microgranules as it was initially, so you keep the efficiency of it. It increases the shelf life. Hey, that's also appreciable. It masks the odor and the taste, because even if it's encapsulated in a capsule, you can still feel the taste or the odor. And when it comes to kids, and you have to open up the capsule, I can tell you it's another story to try and have them swallow this. with a microgranule, which you can give to children starting from 36 months of age. You can open the capsule, put it in yogurt. There's no taste, no odor, nothing. Let me continue with what the microgranule enables. It enables something very smart, which is called chronobiology. Chronobiology is what we call the controlled release. You can obtain anything you want with a microgranule. You can decide on an immediate release, on a delayed release, or extended release of the active ingredients. You cannot get this with powder. So that makes a whole difference, and you'll see how it applies to the products we're going to highlight today. So we're going to cover more of the key benefits of the microgranule, and for this we have something visual that we're going to put on the screen now so that you will understand immediately the difference with powder. So that was a short video to show you that when you put a microgranule versus powder into a glass of water, what's being created by the powder and the water is mud. This is what happens in your intestine. These little 15 to 20% that get to the intestine or colon do not create a large surface of exchange like the microgranule would. So if you have just 1 point of big mud stuck to one part of the intestine, you have a peak of action that lasts a few seconds and then it's gone, and it's only 15 to 20% active ingredients, let me remind you. So let's get to what we call bioavailability. Of course, we're talking about a high level of assimilation. Thanks to what? Remember the 96% release into the intestine. We've protected the active ingredient thanks to the microgranule. The concentration of actives, thanks to the assembly protocol, dosage, and so forth. And the greater surface of exchange, which I just mentioned, because the microgranule will dissipate throughout the colon. And you have several points of exchange versus this mud made by the 15% of the powder. Biocompatibility. This is thanks to what? Synergy of plants. Because we've optimized interactivity between the different plants. You remember this potentiation of each plant with each other? It also enables to avoid side effects. Because thanks to the targeted action, which we call vectorization, we enable the microgranule to address the targeted cells instead of randomly shooting the overall body. We have selected the part of the plant that's being combined with others that go exactly where we want to go. Instead of, if it's the full plant, you just enforce everything to everybody in the body. You don't want that, because it's not because it's natural that it does not create side effects. We are very careful at that. No side effects with us, with our microgranule. We are targeting the cells that we want to address. Reduced dosage. 1 microgranule capsule is sufficient because of all what I've just said. You need 5 powder capsules to equal 1 microgranule capsule. Doesn't this make a difference? Everyone wants this. Higher efficiency, easier intakes, that's the message. Let me get now to what we call this intelligent release of the microgranule. Remember, we have 3 different ways of delivering the active ingredients. One is immediate release. We have a set of products, and as we speak, more products are being invented by our team down in France. But you have an example here of a few that apply the immediate release. What does that mean? 96% of the active ingredients, remember, they have been protected, so they are passing into the intestine, are released progressively over an hour. So it starts immediately, and within the hour, because you want the active ingredients to be released immediately, based on what you're looking for here, you are able to decide that it's going to be released immediately. Extended release, that's very interesting. You can work over 8 hours thanks to the microgranule. 8 hours of efficiency. Think about when you want to go to sleep. Of course, you can bombard and enforce a full plant of actives into the body, fall asleep, almost dead, but you will wake up 4 hours later. That's the biggest problem of people suffering for lack of sleep. What we do thanks to the microgranule, we're able to add another 4 hours because we have this extended release. Delayed release, that's also very interesting. You can delay it like until 2 hours, especially for products such as symbiotics, which you want to release after 2 hours and release during the rest of the time quietly. I'll comment a bit more on this product later on. Let's go to some of our top sellers. First of all, bear in mind that we have 2 big families of products. One family is the well-being products. Well-being products are intended for prevention and in-depth actions. These are products that you're going to recommend for a full month based on either 30 caps or 45 caps if you have to take 1 or 2 capsules. So we have a whole range of products, 20 of them, but again, more are being created at this time, so you will see us again with innovation. These products address a whole range of pathologies. And they are actually very well priced based on the innovation that we're bringing to the market. You have 2 sets of prices, $34.95 and $39.95, okay? And it's about a month intake. So again, this range is for prevention and in-depth action. Another range which makes a very big difference on the market, we're the only ones today to have such a range of products in the nutritional supplements area. These are called the Chrono, Activa Chrono products. Chrono because they act ultra fast. And when I say ultra fast, I mean some of them act in less than 30 minutes. What people are used to in the nutritional supplements area is to hear that, well, take this nutritional supplements and we will see each other again in about a month time, see how it went. This is fine. But what happens when you're in crisis? When you have an acute problem and you need to solve it right away, like cystitis, like diarrhea, like tension, like stress, and we will comment, or acid reflux. What happens? You don't want to wait a month until something happens. This is why we have created the Chrono line. So these are high-level dosage products. They are very low price, $16.95, $19.95, and they are backed up by the well-being range. What you will see is that if you get, for instance, let's take the circulation, chrono circulation, which is aimed at maintaining blood circulation, vascular maintenance, etc. A woman has a problem of swollen legs. This happens very often. She needs immediate action. She will take Activa Chrono Circulation. But at the same time, she has chronic problems of circulation. So the prescription will be, when you have a crisis of swollen legs, take this, but please get an in-depth treatment with well-being circulation and take it throughout the month. You will also see that the packaging of these products, Chrono, is very nice, very different. It's a 1-week intake. It has all the explanation here of what the product is, and it's magic for practitioners, doctors, because they can write the prescription here, walk the patient through all the explanation of the different plants and their action, and add its stamps for renewal of the product at the back. This is unique on the market, not only in terms of efficiency, but also of packaging and ease of use. You slide it in your bag. Let's continue on the products. So you've seen our 2 main lines. Some top-selling products. Again, we have, with the Chrono line, we have 9 products. We have 20 with well-being, you remember, so we have about 30 products at this time. Some of the top sellers, sleep. Remember the 8-hour efficiency, the 4+4? You bet that sleep is one of the best sellers. Because what happens when you wake up in the middle of the night? Yes, you've taken this stuff 4 hours earlier, but what do you do next? And it's too late when you've woken up. You don't want to wake up, take another pill, and wait because you're woken up. With us, you don't have to wake up at all. 8 hours of efficiency. Another top seller is our well-being blood pressure. We are today the only ones on the market with the natural, preventive, and curative product, 100% natural, as I said, that enables to regulate blood pressure. So also note that 1 capsule a day is enough. And the action happens excuse me, within the next 2 weeks. This one is spectacular. I encourage you to have your close ones to try them. Actually, you have 1 sample of these products, top sellers, in your bags today. Another top seller is symbiotic. Because symbiotic is, we could say, the root of natural defenses, of what makes us more, create more immunity in our bodies. And remember, we say that the intestine is the second brain, if not the first one sometimes. So we need to be very careful and maintain it properly. Symbiotic from Activa is a 2 product in 1. It has both the prebiotics and the probiotics. I don't know of any other manufacturer that does those 2 into 1, with as many different stem cells as here, including, by the way, Infantis, which for some of you, if you know that kids which were born through cesarean do not carry this stem cell. So for them, it is compulsory to take symbiotic. 12 billion probiotics, 100% gastroprotected. Remember, everything happens in the intestine. We protect, thanks to the Micro Granule technology, 96% of the active ingredients, where powder would only protect 15 to 20%. In the Chrono version, because symbiotic also exists in Chrono version for diarrhea, gastroenterite, all this crisis stuff, 24 billion of probiotics. So remember, and try them. Again, you have a sample. Elimination. This product is also a fantastic one in Chrono version. Cystitis. You can take as many antibiotics as you want. Women with cystitis, for instance, get accustomed, get used to those antibiotics when it's chronic. What we do when we open pharmacies in France, because I tell you, opening new accounts in France is difficult as anywhere. But opening a pharmacy in the world is difficult. Opening a pharmacy in France is almost impossible. So we are a laboratory that comes with innovation, yes, but we have, that's what they tell us, so many other different nutritional supplements. You know, it's so fashionable these days, we have more than we need. With not only the Chrono version, but also the Micro Granule technology that makes a difference. We open those accounts because no one has this. And once they buy this, they also buy the well-being because they need the in-depth action. So the cross-sell is natural and immediate. So an easy one, low-priced, and for the crisis, coming back to elimination, for cystitis, what doctors do is that they sell both the antibiotics, but also try this because it's going to potentiate the effect of the antibiotics. It's low price and it's natural. They buy it. It has 100 milligram of, PAC, which means phytoanthocyanin. Sorry, it's a very technical word, and I'm not so good at saying it in English, which is a high concentration of the cranberry action that we're looking for. And I tell you, for all women who suffer from cystitis, try this. It's amazing. Chrono Gastric, which also exists, of course, in the well-being version. This one is for acid reflux. Again, we are the only ones to have it on the market. And I tell you, even omeprazole, which you may know of, which is the chemical medicine that is very highly prescribed worldwide for people suffering for lack of acid balance in the stomach, do you want to wait for a few weeks before you get better when you suffer from acid reflux? You don't. You cannot afford it. Same thing. Doctors now prescribe, even when they prescribe omeprazole, they prescribe this together with it. Low price, and it acts immediately, and then they just drop the omeprazole. And there is a clinical study in support of this. Clinical study that we didn't run, that is an independent one, that has highlighted the fact that comparing fenugreek, which is the active ingredient in most majority that we use in this product, to omeprazole, the results were that fenugreek has more efficiency than omeprazole in preventing ulcer, lesion formation, so we're going really far into the symptoms. Acid reflux, immediate action. Chrono Gastric. Another one, Serenity. What we've seen on the market these past few months, unfortunately, is that the level of anxiety at the human being level has increased dramatically at all levels, even youngsters, because you know this anxious environment that has been created by, well, all sorts of attacks, but also the media animating it, etc. So Chrono Serenity has an immediate action too, within 1 hour. Again, low price. You can give it to kids when they have to go through exams or whatever. Anyone anxious, it doesn't get you drowsy, it just makes you serene. You have a sample of it. If any of you is a little bit anxious today, I hope not during this training, but after the training or tomorrow, try it. And combined with sleep, you know, if you don't want to be anxious during the dinner time, but you don't want to get drowsy either, take this first, and then 30 minutes before going to bed, take sleep. You will see the difference. Alrighty, so let's get to our summary now. Innovation. Microgranule, remember, enables a lot of things. Higher efficiency and chronobiology. Remember the controlled release, immediate, delayed, extended. And limited product development opportunities. As I speak, as I was saying, products are being developed in our lab in Carros in France. Because you can mix as many different active ingredients as you want thanks to the microgranule. We can have 5, 6, 10 products into one with one intake versus 5. Remember the dosage versus powder. Packaging, cell to seller. They all want it. Support for prescription. Hey, doctors love that. Easy prescription because broad range of applications. Mean large number of patients if you can address all types of symptoms. Remember efficacy thanks to the gastroprotection that enables high concentration of active dry extracts, 5 times more efficient than powder. Controlled release, we've seen this, and the Chrono line, 1 week offer within hours, even if not in 30 minutes for some of the products. Ease of use, reduced intakes. You take 1 capsule instead of 5. Odor and taste masking, easy to swallow. Remember that for kids, you can open up the capsule and put the microgranules into a little bit of yogurt or milk or so. Safety, of course, because we have dose control, the stability of the product, and pharmacy-grade quality manufacturing. Remember, we have 20 years of history behind us and of pharmacy feedback. I now want to thank you for your attention. And we're going to open for Q&As, so we'll be happy to receive questions from you. And we have here in the room our CEO, Marie-Hélène, who's going to be happy to join me for answering questions, and a natural doctor, a natural practitioner, Lawrence Hoppes, who's going to also join us, so he can also give testimonial of his use of Activa products in his daily consultancy. Thank you very much for your attention. Good, so our natural practitioner who's been using our products, so Lawrence Hoppes, almost 20 years, and our CEO and founder, Marie-Hélène. So ready to take questions. So I think there was one down here. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm the team, and my question is, a lot of clients that we see, their patients have compromised digestion. Do you see that may impact that chronobiology and the attempt to either have something released immediately or delayed response? Do you see an impact at all from somebody who already has compromised digestion?
So for me, most people do have leaky gut, compromised digestion, and clinically what's happened is the immune system is then attacking the substance that you're putting down there. And it's identifying something that should be a friend as an enemy. And there can be autoimmune considerations then, which can exacerbate the problem when you're trying to give them something that will help them. And for that reason, what you put down there is especially important. And so what's happened here is because of the way, and they use the word symbiosis, but the way they're compounded, these formulas have a kind of smoothness that is unparalleled in my experience in the clinic. It's not just balanced. They're not just putting everything that's needed for everything else so it doesn't do any harm. But these are the kind of things that when people take them, there's no burping, there's no taste, and there's no resistance in the body to accepting them. For some reason, that they could go into more details with. They've created a matrix that provides information and structure together, so these things are well received and they're non-challenged at the lumen, is my experience. A great question.
Yeah, I have a question. So, do you? I'm assuming you have like some clinical trials that we can see for. You mentioned the blood pressure pill. I'd love to see the trials that you completed with the 1 pill a day, the markers that it lowered, and stuff like that. I'd also like to see. You mentioned the powder versus the micro granules. The 15% to the 96%. I'd also like to see kind of the studies you did on that to show to doctors. And do you have a product that lowers cardiovascular markers outside of just the blood pressure? Do you have one of those? Because I'd like to see that product and also the clinical trials of that product, because that's something that I can sell against.
Just to answer one part of your question, you have to know that microgranules come from industrial pharmaceutical, and in fact is used for the top 3 selling molecule in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, morphine, Subutex, and also the omeprazole, Mopral for gastric acidity.
Prilosec.
Yeah. So this for this what we call galenic is well approved by pharmaceutical technology.
Sure.
So all the clinical study you asked regarding the delivery system, the percentage of delivery drugs in the body and stuff have been very well documented by the pharmaceutical industry.
They don't really exist.
They've done their own studies too.
I'm just that's a question that we're going to get a lot from the practitioners. Every time I'm selling a new product or new to this market, practitioners always want to know that, and I've experienced that because we've brought new brands from overseas before.
Evidence basis.
And they always want to know that stuff.
So we'll take an action item to provide those.
Okay, wonderful.
And then as far as your second question, I think the circulation product is broadly acting on the cardiovascular, and they use the term broad action, but they didn't actually explain that very well. And so what's happening is that whole body systems are being addressed by this. Now, when you're taking a client who comes in to see you as a naturopath, what you really want to do is alleviate their symptoms quickly, because if you don't, they're not going to come back. And so every natural practitioner has a sort of a this for that vocabulary and arsenal that they've developed over time. It's like, wow, this will really help the person. But we're not just interested in symptom suppression. We want to get at underlying cause. And I think the split here between the Chrono, where they're giving you something that's rapid acting to address their symptom, while you're telling them this doesn't actually create the whole solution. It's a partial immediacy it's going to give you. It's acutely addressed, while the underlying chronicity is something that you're going to want to address separately. But with the circulation product, they're addressing vasculature, microvasculature, and arterial structures, as well as heart valves and the heart muscle itself through the well-being product. So you're going to take the blood pressure reduction, and then clinically, it's up to you as a clinician to know, oh, I need to handle the stress piece for this person by adding the serenity piece, or I need to handle the kidney component with the elimination piece.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the majority of probiotics that we distribute here are temperature sensitive. Looking at the symbiotic, it appears to be shelf stable.
Temperature stabilized. It's a big question, it's an important question.
Yeah.
So anytime you have a probiotic, you have something living. When you have something living, it's metabolizing, and when it metabolizes, it produces waste products. And the waste products it produces are poisonous to the life form. And so it's very common in the industry, you want to sell something with a guarantee of 100 million, you ship 200 million or 500 million because you know over time it's going to degrade. And as you cool things down, you slow metabolism, and so a lot of times people have resorted to refrigeration. But these things are alive, and they are selecting themselves based on the environment that they're in. So by being cultured in refrigeration, they are preferential to colder temperatures, and then they work less well in the warm body. In other words, they get in you and your body's like, whoa, they're like, whoa, they're being knocked out by 96 degrees. So by working with probiotics that are naturally more adapted and suited for a warmer environment, plus actually the micro granule, because they didn't really explain very much about the detail of that encapsulation, but they're controlling the environment within there. So there's no air and no moisture getting in. So what's happening is because it's desiccated, it is not metabolically active. And you see these things like a pond that's been dry for 20 years, add water, and all this microbial life can be dry for 20 years because they build structures for desiccation into themselves. And so because these are perfectly hermetically sealed, the action allows them to revive themselves even after a very long period of time. It's brilliant.
All right, thank you.
I want to add too that a lot of bifidobacterium do not well survive the enteric channel. And so again, the strategy is, well, if we put 21 billion down or something, maybe a few stragglers will arrive down there. But that's not an army, you know, and there's a war going on down there. So the idea that you can deliver 96% of nutrients to the large intestines means that your whole army's arriving fresh and intact. And it's difficult to orally colonize the large intestine clinically, but this is a solution. Yes.
For pediatrics, if you have a child who's on the autism spectrum and they're anxious, they have a high level of anxiety and also a high level of activity, do you have a product that would work well with a juvenile who's on the autism spectrum?
So we have good clinical experience with autism, and they're non-interactive, and a lot of times there's a lot of emotional things underplaying, and they don't respond well to something new. So if you try to introduce a new food or take away their favorite food, and every practitioner that works on the autism scale has their own set of tricks and techniques, which are cool. What we found is that like we'll just put them on a movie so that they're tuned out, they're not paying attention, and then they want their favorite food, whether it's a soy milk, like a chocolate soy milk, or an applesauce, or something that they'll actually eat, a yogurt tube, and then we just open up the capsule, mix in the Serenity, which really supports the lowering of anxiety. They're not even noticing it when they're intaking it, and then suddenly they're calmer and more interactive. And at that point, you can start to work with some of the deeper things that you need to, which is detoxification, cellular intelligence, immune support. And one of the really interesting things that's happening with young people these days is they're under attack, right? Their immune systems are under attack, their psyches are under attack. There's so much stress in their parents, and they're connected to the stress in the parents. And so we actually tell them the parents to take the product too. And so actually the parent's body is informing the child's body while they're doing it. Calm mom, calm baby.
Speaking of the Serenity, a lot of products that help to reduce anxiety also like reduce the cortisol. Is this going to lower cortisol, or is it going to reduce it?
Yeah, and specifically that is the point. So the body's built on the assumption that there's really not enough here. There's not enough attention, there's not enough digestion, there's not enough warmth, not enough immunity. And because of that, the body has to really prioritize, like budget. I'm going to spend my energy this way. And so when you're budgeting, you have your priorities. Here's what I'm going to spend money on. Like one time I turned a corner too sharp. I was probably 21 or something, and I managed to pop 2 tires at the same time. Both of them hit the curb. And at that point, if you'd asked me if I could, buy 2 new tires, I would have said there's no way. But it was amazing. Within like a day, I had 2 new tires on my car because I found a way. So when your body's in the stress cortisol channel, and it can be an adrenaline addiction, frankly, the body will actually resist wanting to lower that level. It's homeostatic. It's just as if it was heroin addicted. It didn't like getting there, but it doesn't want to stop. And so using something like the Serenity, you're not just suppressing the body's cortisone response, but you're actually working to give the body this for that it wants. And so it opens the door and says, yes, I will let that action in. And that's why it creates such a rapid and global calming effect. And then your body can digest and do immune and regulate blood sugar and all kinds of other fun stuff.
So I have two questions. So typically, a lot of products that we sell for sleep, primarily, they'll have melatonin associated with it. Obviously, it's a hormone and other things, but you decided to go instead and put the melatonin in the Serenity instead of the sleep. Was there a reason or methodology for why?
That's the back door. So the Serenity offers, so melatonin does an enormous number of things. In fact, one of the things that surprised me recently is I found out it's highly radioprotective. So people that were taking melatonin responded better to radiation assault than ones that weren't. And part of that's just through the GABAergic brain chemistry that you can get out of the pineal gland. When it doesn't have to manufacture melatonin, it can do a growth hormone and a lot of other interesting things. So what you find with melatonin is that the body builds resistance to it, and it eventually doesn't actually work as a sleep aid by itself. And so in our sleep product, they've done some special things that the body won't resist. It doesn't knock you out like a pharmaceutical would, but it's so subtle that it sneaks up on you, and then you simply are just asleep without actually realizing, and then you get real and true sleep. In the Serenity product line, the way I understand it, and you can correct me, the melatonin, once the body has surrendered and accepted the things, the active elements that it wants out of the Serenity, it's also letting this melatonin in. It's creating a calmness that feels alert and awake. It's not drowsiness or dependence forming.
Yeah, it seems a little counterintuitive because we always think of melatonin that you're going to go to sleep, so don't take anything that contains that. So.
Right.
And then my second question was vegetable capsule. So is it corn sourced?
So my understanding is it's not.
Okay.
What they were looking for was a very specific pH neutral encapsulation that matched the pH of the gelatin. And originally they went to a fish source, I believe, is that right? And then slowly evolved this into a plant source that's non-corn, non-GMO.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll get questions for that. So.
On your sleep, most sleeping pills, you wake up with like a
Hangover.
Right? How does this have any at all, or?
Right. So what happens with the body is, because it's homeostatic, it means that the way that it is, it wants to stay that way. So if it's not sleeping on some level, that's working for it. Its intelligence is selecting the fact that it wants to do something else besides sleep. And I remember as a college student, one time I had to study for my final, and I found myself in cleaning the bathroom. I was scurrying around the toilet thinking, what am I doing? And I was just in avoidance. I was avoiding studying for my final. And so the body gets into that kind of a thing, and then we know pharmaceutically we can hammer the body down, but then it goes into resistance to that. It's going to then try to grow more sleep-inducing chemistry. And same way with caffeine, it only works to a point, and then you need some more and something else. What's happening with the synergy that they're doing here, and the sort of the gentle symbiotic nature, this is what they're saying, is that they found doorways to let nature in that the body doesn't resist. The body is actually starting to auto-regulate quickly into new ways of being without a lot of resistance. So, you know, like with water, you put your hand in kind of slow and there's no resistance, but if you hit it at 100 miles an hour, they break you up real bad. Yeah. And so what they've got is, even though it's coming in rapidly, the format that it's in informationally and in the structure has come in a way that the body's not holding up a barrier to. And now, for the first 2 or 3 days or 4 days, it's a potential for somebody that's really just does not want to sleep, that their body's going to say, I don't want to regulate to that. And, you know, if you've taken too much sleep, after a nap in the middle of the day or something, you can kind of feel zone. I would say you might have that feeling with a small percentage of people who are really very out of balance. But the point is, this quickly brings them back into balance where they're feeling energized and alert. And for most people, surprisingly, high percentage of people will not even notice that they took a pill. They'll just go to sleep, they'll go to sleep last night and go, oh, wait a minute, I woke up okay this morning. It's that kind of thing where you don't even notice.
Okay.
It's weird.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.